Hello friends, welcome to Salesforce Semantics video session 266. So basically we will just continue from where we left off. So basically here we were getting this error, right? So this was the error which we were getting. Now let's resolve this first of all, this particular error. It's written partner name. Okay, so of course it has to be p dot partner name. I think is fine. What is the issue over here? Field must be group by. Here I have done actually op ID. So PE by op ID seems to be fine for me. Let's check what is the issue then. It must be group point. Okay, I think maybe I have to write first, I guess. Let's see what's the partner name at the end of the day. So let me just write first. Okay, great. Now, if you see, okay, one thing I have missed is basically it has to be left over here, right? So I need all the details from A. Okay. Now, correspondingly, I need all the details of the stage from B as well. Fine. After that, I need all the activity details. So that's why over here also it will be left. And here, of course, I just need the additional details. So let me just run the query right now. Cool. Now, if you see over here, I got all the details basically. Like here, if you see the result table, I had O1, O2, O3, O4, which I got. The stage count also seems correct, 211, and the activity count also 121, which is fine. The only issue is if you see, like here, I'm getting the Accenture Deloitte, but the next part, the Accenture is missing, right? That is one issue. Okay. Now let's try to analyze like where it exactly went away, why that Accenture is not coming. I think you must have got it, but anyways, let's decode it. So I'm pressing Control and slash just to comment out all this line. Now, if you see up till here, what is happening is I'm getting the Accenture and Deloitte, but I'm not getting details for O3, for which this details is also missing over here for O3, right? So ideally for O3, I should have got Accenture, but the problem is because I'm not able to fetch in this line of code the partner name for O3, I'm not getting that. Now, why it happened is because here, if you see, I've taken the left as partner reference and the opportunity partner as the right. Okay. So it's fetching me all the partner ID. We can try one more way, but eventually see it won't be solved. Let's say if we take the opportunity partner as left and partner referrals as right. Now, will that solve the issue? We can just quickly check it for sure. So maybe I can just replace this by E and this particular thing by B. Okay. So now I'm taking this one as my left, which means I will get P1, P2, P3. Okay. But again, it won't solve it because I think the answer will still be remain the same. O1, 2. Okay. So why is that? Because although I've taken that E over here, fine. So I am getting the P1, P2, P3, okay, with the left. But the thing is that from D, I am also taking the partner ID. But here, the partner ID, if you see, we have only three values. That is P1, P2, P3. At the end of the day, it's matching that one only. But here, like with D also, at the end of the day, we have this P1, P2, P3. Although P1 is repeated, but in cogroup, you cannot segregate the rows, right? It's just that whatever things are there and whatever corresponding things are existing, that only way it will get mapped, right? So that's why if you see, we are not getting anything related to O3, okay? Because P1 is only like one of the partner ID which is there. Now we can try one more way where maybe I can just go for full because inner won't make sense. I think you all know it because inner is like the common one. So we have only P1, P2, P3, which will eventually give you like one of the results, right? So inner won't make sense over here at all. Maybe maximum we can try for is full and we can check out what are the details we are getting. Now again, it's the same thing. The reason being, even if you're going for full, right? And maybe what I can do is I can just map D over here and E over here. Okay. So I'm getting all the details from D as well as E. Eventually it won't differ as well. And if you see here also, like nothing is coming out at the end of the day. Now, why is that? The thing is that what happens with co-group is the bags are created, right? I think that is one concept which I taught you in one of the sessions, that at the end of the day, the bag gets created and that's where the issue lies. So although even if I try all the various ways, like if I go for left, right, inner, as well as full, what will happen is at the end of the day, to generate the dimension, I have to go for that first, which means from that bag, it will just pull up one of the options. So for example, if even if I went for full, right? So what is happening is like P1, right? For P1, we have this O1 as well as O3, right? So just to explain you this part. So for P1, what are the values I will have if I'm going for full? Okay, so I'm writing full on the top. So for P1, what is happening is here, we are going for O1 and O3, right? O1 and O3, it will get stored when we are taking the option of E. So for E, okay, for E. Then these are the values for O1. But the problem is it created a bag over here, which means in that one particular you are having O1 and O3. And now when you want to display the op ID, you cannot display all of them, because here if I just remove this term called first, then nothing will get displayed. We will get an error, right? We all know that, because with dimension, we have to use that word first after that co-group part. Okay. So it won't be able to access it. That's the issue. Fine. Sorry. So the thing is that no matter whatever things we try, whether full, left, or right, at the end of the day, we won't get that O3 part, because the problem is, although this, because at the end of the day, we have to do the co-group based on the partner ID for this D and E. There's no other way, right? Because partner ID is the only matching column or the matching key. But the issue is that with the co-group, it creates a bag. So that's why for P1, you are having this O1 and O3. So for P1, they're mapping the O1 and O3. But after co-group, when you want to generate, you have to use that first. Out of O1 and O3, one of them will only get displayed. There's no other option, whether you go left, right, or full inner, it doesn't matter. Okay. So that's the thing. So logically, what we have written is correct. But what I want to say is, at the end of the day, we cannot get this Infosys part P3 over there. Okay. Sorry, not Infosys, I mean Accenture for this O3. Fine. Because on the partner ID, we are joining it. Now, what's the solution? So there's definitely no other way. So whatever we had written earlier was completely fine. So maybe I can just change it to left, because I want to get all the details. That's completely fine. I can run the query and I can just uncomment this line as well. Okay. That's not an issue. So I can just write something like trial for scenario one, because this is definitely not the solution. I need the Accenture over here for the low O3. So just let me save it as trial for scenario one. It's actually taking some time. That it, okay. So I can save it in my SQL app. That's completely fine. And let me save it. Now, what will be the solution? Okay, at the end of the day, because core group is not the way. First, let's understand the core group versus join. I mean, that's the concept which you need to understand. And of course, we can actually eventually solve it at a later stage. But that's the main importance, to understand what is the difference between core group and join. Now, here is something which I have written. SQL is a grouping engine, not a relational join engine. So that is one important thing we need to understand, that when it comes to SQL, it's just a grouping engine. It will not help you to do the joining properly. For example, in our case, what we need is we need the the P1 mapped with O1, as well as we need a next row, right? So we need this one thing. Okay. If I just mention over here, it's like P1 and O1. Sorry. Okay. And what I need over here is again the same thing. I need the P1 as well as, so I need the P1 as well as over here O3. Now that is something which we cannot do through cogroup. Okay, because as I mentioned, it's taking as a bag when you are joining. Had we joined on op ID, it would have been a different case. But we don't, we have to join on partner ID based on this criteria which we have. And it's creating a bag after that cogroup. So that is one important part to remember, that SQL is just a grouping engine, not a relational join engine. So if you, there's a criteria where you have to get different rows. In that case, you cannot go for cogroup. You cannot rely on cogroup in SQL. SQL is intentionally designed to prevent row explosion. It's intentionally designed to just to ensure we don't have any kind of row explosion, right? Because in this case, we need different rows, right? For the partner ID P1. But that's something which SQL, and see, it's not a limitation. It's not about limitation of SQL, because see, at the end of there is a CIMatics product, it's a CIMatics asset. They have a different resolution for it. They had a different data layer for it. Okay, so that's what we'll read further. So it's intentionally designed to prevent row explosion. When many to many accuracy is required, data must be prepared upstream. So in our case, if you see, it's a many to many, right? So for example, like at the end of the day, although I need the op ID, that will be my final one, because from opportunity I need all this op ID as at the end of the day. But if you see, there's no relationship for op ID over here and here at the end of the day, isn't it? So it's like for this two, we have this partner ID, right? But at the end of the day, if you want to join with op ID, that's not possible because we don't have the audit, because op ID is something we need in the final output at the end of the day, right? So we are not getting all the details of the op ID so that we can do the join with this main table A, because this is my main table at the end of the day. So for partner ID only, we have the relationship over here, right? In these two tables, but for others, we don't have partner ID also. So we cannot do the joining with others. That's not possible. These are the only two. And with op ID, there's a relationship with A over here. Okay, but there's no relationship over here, but it's connected, this particular table, if you see. So it's like a many to many. What I can say is this opportunity and this particular table, if you see, they have this common op ID, right? But this partner reference, it doesn't have that particular ID, but it's having one of the ID which is joined with this, right? And from there, if you see, this op ID is joined with this one. Okay, so in such scenarios, what happens is data must be prepared upstream, which means we have to rely on the recipe over here. SAQL cannot create rows. Recipe can. So as I mentioned, like what we need is, we need the row in this manner, P1, O1, and again for P1, we need O3. But through cogroup, it's not possible. It's creating a batch kind of a structure, which I explained you over here. So for when you are having that E, for P1, it's getting that O1 and O3 at the end of the day. Okay. Now, the thing is that SQL collapses many to many, recipe can expand many to many. So at the end of the day, if you have many to many, it will collapse at the end of the day. But here recipe can definitely expand. Recipe can definitely give you that row by row structure. Recipe fixes structure, as I was mentioning. SQL fixes meaning. So at the end of the day, if you want to get certain meanings from the resulting table, like, okay, how many stages they were involved, a particular opportunity, how many activities they went through, a particular opportunity, and let's say you want to get to know the complete partner count, for example. In that way, recipe is definitely SQL is definitely the proper one. But if you need details separately, for example, in this case, we need to know, we need to get the details for O3, right? We need to get the appropriate partner for O3. There's no other way we can do it through SQL. I have, of course, taken these 5 tables separately as a data set and I've combined it, but there's no other way. So here, at the end of the day, the conclusion which we come to is, we need the help of recipe to ensure we create the separate rows which is required for us, right? So what will be the resolution for this? Just to ensure we get this particular accenture in this particular row, what we can do is we can take the help of recipe, and what we can do is we can do a lookup join for opportunity partner and partner reference with the right taken as partner. We will join it on partner ID. In that case, what will happen? In lookup, we will get all these rows. So at the end of the day, we will get P1, P2, P1, P3, and we will just map the resulting name. So at the end of the day, we have this P1, P2, P3. So we will get particular names. And once that done, we are also getting the particular op ID. Now, this particular op ID, what we can do is we can do a join. So we can again take this as a lookup. And with this as a lookup, we can do a join, lookup join again on this one. So what will happen is we'll give the O1, O2, O3, O4. Okay. But for O1, whatever is the particular partner, those names we will get it at the end of the day. So we will continue on the recipe in the next section. But I hope this part is clear, like why I mentioned scenario SAQL for scenario one, it's more like a trial scenario, but how that we cannot achieve that part through this one at the end of the day. Okay. So yeah, that's it about this. And yeah, in the next session, we will continue on the recipe and map the proper solution for this.